Hello everyone, welcome to Living Positive San Antonio, LPSA. Today is October 6th, 2020. Tonight's subject is going to be gays in the military. And speaking up here with us, with myself, will be Santiago and Josh. We're going to be discussing basically over the years how being gay in the military has changed. We're also going to touch on some other subjects such as trans and HIV within the military as well. Real quick, we're going to give you some quick catch-up on numbers. Some numbers that I just got was evidently was very impressive. Yesterday we had 68 new cases. Evidently, so far today we've not had any new cases reported from what I just saw. But there have been 4 deaths. Yesterday there was, like I said, 68 new cases, no deaths. There have been 219 people hospitalized, or there are right now. 86 of those patients are in ICU, and 38 patients are on ventilators. I want to point out that we have finally dipped below the 5% mark. I don't remember the exact number, I want to say it's 4.7 or 4.9. So we are now below 5% infection rate. So our 2 weeks decline in cases have been steady. Our testing capacity is low. Our contact tracing is low. Hospital trends are steady. Our doubling rate is low. Our positivity rate is low, and then our hospital stress is moderate, and we are actually on the very low end on the risk level bar that they have. We're on the low end of low, so we're at a very low risk level right now as well. So if I could, I'm going to get Mr. Josh Jordan to come up here and join me. Me? Yes, you. And then we're also going to get Santiago to come join us as well. And I want to run around the room real quick. But there's 3 people. Wayne, how's your week been?
I had a really good weekend. I went to a party that I didn't really want to go to. It was actually met a really interesting guy that he and I are clicking, so let's see where that goes. Right.
What about you, John? I know you sold a lot of cars.
I tried. But yeah, no, everything was good. Great weekend. Yeah, nothing really exciting.
What did you do on your day off?
That didn't happen.
Oh, you worked on Sunday too?
Oh, I was off that day.
You were off.
Oh, sorry.
Did you go to the gym or anything?
I tried to, but I don't think I did. Yeah.
What about you, Santiago? How was your?
Actually, let me go over there.
I'm just sharing the video.
Hey, what's up? Actually, my Friday was pretty good. Went to 2 bars. One was doing what they were supposed to. The other one, well, yeah, we left. That was my Friday. Saturday.
No names mentioned of a flying horse or anything that we were at.
Saturday, we ended up going to a birthday party. And, well, that's another story as well. But
For me, it was pretty good.
Was that your niece's birthday party, or?
No, it was actually an old friend from New York that lives here, and he was having a birthday party. We all went in there and had a pretty good time. I didn't get that drunk. Actually, I didn't get drunk at all. But it was chill. Something to do.
You said that you didn't want to go, but you're glad you went now.
Yeah, somebody.
Well, Mr. Fearless Leader, how was your weekend? That's you, Mark.
Ah! Yes, Mark, that would be you, bro.
I'm trying to get something done here on Facebook. What was the question?
How was your weekend?
My weekend been really good, been really busy. Had a couple appointments yesterday and today. Everything so far going good. I'm planning my vacation to Washington, D.C. on November. So far, so good.
Awesome. Well, my weekend, I have to be honest, last week we talked about sexual assault. And after sharing my story, it actually brought in a lot of old emotions for me. Inadequacy, not feeling totally the way it should be, brought in some anger. And I was able, and some depression. And I want to give a shout out to John. He's now my best friend. because He sat up and talked with me one night and helped me, and of course I talked to my counselor Stacy today. And again, they helped out a lot. So again, I want to reiterate what we were talking about last week. If you do have any issues with being sexually abused, well not just sexually, mentally abused, sexually abused, physically abused, emotional, we still have those numbers posted from last week. Call those hotline numbers and talk to somebody. Well, we're going to start talking about gays in the military, and we're not talking about happy people. We're talking about homosexuals. and then, of course, obviously all three of us were homosexuals in the military. I am probably the oldest, well not probably, I am the oldest sitting at this table. I do know that when I was in, there was no don't ask, don't tell. There was just, you don't tell, you don't say, you don't show, you don't do anything that makes the military suspect that you are gay. As a matter of fact, you know, I'm going to, since I'm talking about that, sexual orientation in the military actually was not really made illegal until 1916. It was, let me see if I can find this here. The military started discharging soldiers from homosexual acts throughout the 18th and 19th century, but it did not become illegal until 1916. Or actually, it's called the Articles of War of the United States of 1916, which was implemented in 1917. It included Article 93, and it stated that any person subject to military law who committed assault with the intent to commit sodomy shall be punished by a court-martial by direct. Am I reading that right? As a court-martial may direct. So, actually, up until don't ask, don't tell, basically if you were found out to be homosexual, you were court-martialed and given a less than honorable discharge, be it dishonorable or other circumstances. So, when I was in the military, I didn't let anybody know I was gay. There was just no way. And not only were you discharged, there was a good chance that you were going to have the crap beat out of you by somebody, in my case I was in the Air Force, by somebody in my flight. So, you know, you acted straight, you presented yourself as straight, and if anybody else was gay, you didn't.
There was no.
Yeah, there was no talking about it.
There was no.
So, now I think you showed more than the don't ask, don't tell. I don't know how.
Yeah, I was more than don't ask, don't tell. It's like they didn't question you on anything like that. So like it was cool. I mean, for me, when and I was in what was it? Around '98. That's when I joined. I didn't start telling people until later on, and because I felt comfortable with them. Former Marine here, so I tell people that I'm already, I can trust, and tell them, hey, you know, I got to tell you something. I have to know them first before I start telling them stuff, because I was already dating somebody, a female, but they never knew, so later on there were problems. So then I end up telling them, hey, well, but I date guys too, blah blah blah. And they were like, really? They're like, you don't look gay. And I'm like, thank you. Yeah, I had a couple of gay experiences. But the funny thing is, when you tell your friends that you're gay, especially in the military, they'll look at you like, look, I'm not gay, but do you think I'm cute? I'm like, dude, you're like my brother, you're like my sister, whatever. But you know, again, I had no problems until like after I got out. One of the guys I was dating or messing around with got mad because I pretty much kind of like rejected him. I never really called him back or anything. And that goes to another topic later on.
Ghosting.
Called ghosting. But
The first one that's going to cry about it was the first one to get it.
Right. Because he was so extra. I mean, what was extra? But the point what I'm going at is I stopped talking to him. So he took it upon himself to call my unit. I already stepped out, and stepped out meaning I had already separated.
Right.
So he thought by being a dick, he was going to call my unit, hey, you have a guy named Santiago, blah, 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 and he's been fucking me, blah, blah, blah. And, sorry, we don't use the word. But, you know, we were doing adult things between two males.
Wait, you're not allowed to say.
And luckily for
Oh,
me,
you're not.
the guy that picked up the phone was one of my friends. And
What would it have mattered if you already said?
it didn't matter.
Yeah, well, the question, did you know that you had already separated?
No, he didn't. But he was trying to be vindictive.
Right, he
Because
was getting that thing, ain't getting no information, no phone call,
Yeah.
no that thing, ain't getting that thing.
yeah, it's like, so he tried to, you know, get me in trouble. So later on, they called me. Or they did. My boy called me and was like, "Yo, there's this rumor about you that you're gay, blah blah blah." Like, fuck that shit, you know. But the people that I did know that I did trust, that I knew were not gonna blabber later on, those are the ones I told. Because I knew I could trust them, and also because I knew shit about them too. But nobody really rejected me as far as my friends. It was like, oh shit. So it was cool, but I didn't have it as tough as some other people that end up getting kicked out. Because if I would have stayed in and they would have called, there probably would have been some sort of investigation. Or not. It also depended on your unit, how gay friendly they were, or if they were friendly at all. Because first they have to have proof that you're gay for them to even try to court-martial you. Again, you're looking back time when you were in there, it was an automatic court-martial. You lost anything. If you were in there for 10, 20 years, you lost all your benefits. If it would have been me, I probably would end up in other than honorable. I don't know how it is for Josh. I mean, Josh didn't get kicked out or anything, but for him, I'm assuming it was a whole lot.
And for you, Josh, how was it for you in the military?
Yeah, because
For dating?
it was after Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Yeah, I joined after Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and I was still very scared when I first, like when I was in boot camp, like I just was really, really quiet, and I ended up having to be the young man of the boot camp, so there was times where I was just stressed out, and I can't be anything else but myself. So there would be times where I'd be stressed out and be like, why aren't you telling them that you're doing this, or why? And I'd be like, you know, I'd probably do it really, really sassy. Be like, y'all need to do this, and the third, and probably pop my neck a couple times and stuff. But it was more acceptable, but then at the same time, I feel like it was almost like gays in the military, like they almost have to like be better than like the average normal military person, because if not, then it's like, there's just this gay person like in the way, like type of thing. Like they're no longer like a person or a part. Like I feel like
They felt that you were a liability every day if you weren't being more than.
yeah. Well, I just feel like I know so many. I've met so many gays in the military just because Don't Ask, Don't Tell wasn't in play. But I just feel like all of them have just like thrived and like just pushed so hard to just be. But like it's like we have to prove something. Like although it's okay to be gay, it's like we still have to prove ourselves and still have to go above and beyond and make sure that like we are better than the average. Because if not, then we're not even like worthy, or you're just in the way, kind of like. I feel like you're almost like a problem. Like if you're just like not above and beyond, because then it's like now you're needed, now you're necessary, now you're needed as part of this group. If not, then you're just in the way because you're gay and you're allowed to be gay now. So you're just like.
I feel like especially during boot camp, it must have been really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it was hard for me. You know, you're trying to focus, trying to do what you got to do to be in the military, but then you got all these guys swinging dick and everything, and you're like, focus, because you're not trying to get in trouble, you're not trying to get caught and everything by looking. So it's like, you're just concentrating on that. As far as I know, in my unit, I had, when I was in boot camp, I didn't have none. But once I got to Okinawa, I ended up hearing a story that one of the guys that was in with me in boot camp got so drunk that he tried to molest another Marine. He got caught and got court-martialed, like Leavenworth shit, So it was like, how do you stop? especially like when you get drunk, when you get stupid drunk, when do you being gay or being bisexual, and you're looking at the guy and you don't want your other friends like say anything. So I feel like it was hard until you know the right guys to talk to.
Yeah.
What do you say?
I was gonna say, did he get the Fort Leavenworth crap because there was assault involved?
Yeah, it was an assault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have another question, because you were in the Navy, right?
Yes.
I was in the Air Force, you were in the
Marines. Yeah.
Do you think
Yeah.
each branch was probably a little different in how they handled gays? I know in the Air Force, it was different than the Army. Or
Right. What year were you in? What year did you join? Let me just go.
I joined in 1985.
See,
I don't know where you
so
were.
he joined in 85. I joined in 98. And when did you join?
In 2015.
2015. So look at all the time difference. I mean, there's already 16 years between us as far as joining. So between us, I
And
didn't.
then there's like 30 years between me and him.
Then how was it in military for you being gay? How can I put this? How was your experience?
For me, the experience was, I mean, I actually enjoyed being in the military. I enjoyed being in the Air Force. But I always felt, and I felt like this until I came out of the closet too, I always felt like I was lying to people because I could not show them who I really was. I mean, I've never been a Nelly Queen or anything like that, but I couldn't be my true self. Yeah. I can't do that. But, and, you know, I was making fun by how I said homosexual. I mean, it was very common for somebody to actually say it very similar to that. He's
Right.
friends with a lot of rednecks who would say, oh, you a homosexual? And I do know that there was one guy that they never proved that he was gay, but I can't remember what they're called. But they wanted to beat the crap out of him. And this was in basic training. And they wound up beating the crap out of him. This is really weird. You actually want to be in the middle of this one. Over that.
I'm sorry, not to interrupt, but before I forget, we do have an anonymous link. So if you want to talk about your experience being in the military and being gay, and you don't want people to know, there is a link that Caesar did provide that should be on the Facebook link. But also, there's other military that are in there. Y'all want to ask us some questions, or you want to tell someone your story, please, put it in so we can talk about it, talk about your experience, how it was for you. Another thing that I do remember when I was in Okinawa, even when I got back into the States, whenever you go to your unit, I would always ask them, so where can we hang out, where can we not hang out, whatnot. The first thing they would tell you, don't go over there because that's a gay bar. That's all I need to know. Because you already know that's where you're going to go.
Right.
But there were 2 times that I was stationed in Pennsylvania, and I went to one of the clubs. It was a straight club. It was off the hook. We're all there drinking, getting sloshed. There was a gay bar right next door. And I'm like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. Went in there. When you are like drinking with all some of the gay guys I met and drinking with them, all of a sudden,
The glory days.
I see one of the high ups come in, and I'm like, I go to the back and go, how did I get out of here? And it was the same guy. He went in there with his girlfriend or his wife. I guess she had gay friends, and it happened at another gay bar too, where I was working at. So it would have been okay because they would have said, well, what are you doing here? Like, I work here. Like, you don't pay me enough. So I gotta work another job. That was my cover up, especially to work in a gay bar. Hey, and that was easier for me because I'm working in a gay bar and I'm gay. I'm getting paid to drink and hook up with people, even better. But going back to the military, if I would have gotten caught,
Well, obviously you could not have your uniform on when you went out.
right. But actually, that's not what I said that.
Did you go into gay bars with your uniform on? Because seriously, just like straight looking like guys in uniform, gay men do too.
As soon as that boat hit shore,
Okay, so
because he told us before.
I will be 100% honest. I have been lights on, and because you're not allowed to go out in public in any other uniform besides your dress clothes. And that's in the military. That's in the Navy. You're not allowed to go out in any. You can like if you have on your like your fatigues, like or if you have like they call them the NWUs, which is Navy working uniform, which is just like the fatigues or the camouflage. They were blue. I was in, but right before I got out, they changed them to green now. So they're now green, like the desert green and the desert brown. And so you're only allowed to like move around in those like after work, like go pick up your kids and maybe go to the store or something like that. And that's okay, but like you're not supposed to really go to like a bar or anything. But I was able to dress up like in my dress white uniform and go out and drink and have a good time because we were in this thing called Fleet Week. So, so I had a great time in my uniform before, and it was okay. Like it wasn't like a big deal, but everybody was also drinking. It was also like Don't Ask, Don't Tell was not in any type of play. Like just because I was lower like rank, I had to be on the ship at a certain time. But as long as I was on the ship at a certain time and I could walk across the brow without falling over, I was okay.
I did walk into a gay bar once with my uniform on, but I could do that because it was the bar that my mother owned. And I used to work there, so I actually went in there to pick up my mother from.
Okay, I have a question for all three of you. Did you guys ever have sex in your place, basically in your
On the
Barracks?
barracks and all that? Did you guys have sex?
I never took that risk because, again, for me, taking that risk was not only the end of my military career, it was the end of my life.
And it is funny because I'm still friends with him.
I feel like I got his raise his hand.
He's married now. But it was like the last week, and I kind of knew he was gay, but we never really talked. And one day we just talked the whole day, and then I was like, I'm going to my room. Like, do you mind if I join you? And he was a sergeant. That time I was like a lance corporal. So I was like, yeah, cool. So we come to my room, we chill. We end up smashing like crazy. Next day he leaves. He comes back to the States. So I was like, wow, okay. So I ended up meeting a couple other gay military too, which ended up being pretty cool. But
Were they all? When you mentioned one was a.
He smashes
was
it.
yeah, he was a Marine. He
the
was a
other
sergeant.
Marines?
I'm sorry?
Were anybody else Marines or were they other?
Once I stepped out again, I was working at the gay bar. And I'm chilling there, and I met one guy, and come to find out, he was PCS, and he was a Marine too. Like so we're talking, chilling, and everything. All of a sudden, there's another white guy comes by, and I start talking to him. So we end up going back to my place, and we're all three Marines, we did what we had to do, and it was fun. I had already stepped out, so I wasn't still in the military. But I did have a couple nice experiences.
And you, Josh? Have you?
So I did have sex while I was in the military, of course. But the question is, did I ever have sex like in my military
Like on a ship or?
domicile? Okay, so I've never had sex on the ship. Never had sex on the ship. I did live on the ship. I did have sex while I was living in barracks, which were like while I was in school. So like while I was going to school at the time, like I just got out of boot camp and I went to the base. And so
Yes, I remember that. I remember. Hey, go ahead. I remember those times. Go finish
So
your story.
I did have sex with this guy, and he's straight supposedly. He has a wife and kids now, and he's like. And what's crazy is he ended up getting like stationed. We both ended up getting stationed in Norfolk, and when we were like messing around, we messed around like while we were living in the same barracks in Chicago. And so it was like very awkward for him, but at the time, like I said, Don't Ask, Don't Tell was not in place. So I mean, I was always able to be myself after boot camp. Felt more comfortable being able to be myself, but I was still very, very nervous up until like a certain point where I just didn't care because I realized that it wasn't.
Y'all both mentioned that y'all had sex with people. I mean, I had sex with people when I was in the military too, but it wasn't on my barracks, and it wasn't with somebody in the military. It was always somebody else.
Oh no, yes, mine was very much in the barracks. He was in the military. I was in the military. We both in school. Mine was, and then I had what they called a PPE or like a. It was basically a single sailor living. So single sailors that were E3 and below or E4 and below. E4 and below. So basically, it was like a huge like apartment complex, dorm room, like, and it had like a parking garage so we can park cars and stuff like that. And it was only for single sailors, so you couldn't have any like dependents, when meaning like a kid or a wife or a husband, like, because you could be married now in the military and be married to the same-sex marriage, which is also new. But yeah, you were allowed to be married, so you couldn't have a husband or a wife or kids or anything like that. So single sailor living, so I lived there, and it was just me and another guy, but we had like our own rooms, our own walk-in closet, our own huge walk-in bathroom. Like I had a porch, so I had like a tomato plant on my porch. So yeah, it was like my own apartment. Like I would cook in there. Like I had plenty of sex in my room.
Did you ever invite somebody non-military to? Can you?
Yes, because it wasn't on base. So it was off base, but it was still owned by the military.
I have a question. How long have you been in the military? Were you in the military?
I was a little over 4 years.
You, Jace?
Total time, 15 years?
15? You, Josh?
4 years.
4 years. How would you take care of yourself sexually when you did not have sex with someone else? And where would you do it? Would you do it in front of your friends, in the restroom, at your own bed?
Like living on a ship.
Yeah.
Oh, straight people do that, like openly, like around each other. But it's kind of like it's kind of just being in the military, kind of like taking a shower next to your homeboy. That's how they That's how they think of it, especially being out like to sea so long or being out deployed so long for y'all. Because mine would be out in the ocean we'd be out there for weeks, months. It's almost like a thing like if you're showering next to your homeboy, like it's not, you don't really think twice about that. It's not like they'll like do it and they'll put a sock on their bed and be like, hey, I'm busy. Like, don't.
Yeah, you kind of already knew what they were doing. You kind of knew.
Yeah, you knew. And even when
When I was in the military, it was actually very common because you're men, you have to relieve yourself.
Right,
Yeah, like
and
that's
they
how it
knew
works.
that. It's not like they were going to stop. It's like, oh, you can't jerk off, or you can't do this. You know, because if you did jerk off, they would actually ask you questions. Because they would start asking you questions when they didn't see you talking about girls or bringing bitches home all the time with you. It's like, yo, I never see you with a girl. But like, did y'all get that? Or did you get that?
I did.
You do what I was asking you. Well, you were pretty much out.
Well, yeah, I was,
Up,
and
so
that's the
it's
thing too is like I never dated girls, so it was never. I never had that like, oh, I have to date a girl, or oh, it was never like that. I don't think I could have like lied about it.
Well, to be honest with you, I actually had girlfriends, as girls who pretended to be my girlfriends. Just for the sake of having the appearance that I had a girlfriend.
See.
Because if you didn't, you were the little fairy.
And I know people in the military that have got married and they're both gay and they're lesbian and homosexual, gay and lesbian, and get married for the benefits and will do it. Of course, they're not in love, but on paper they're married. In the military, they're married. They get their benefits. And
Well, yeah, I mean, it's good that you brought that up because even for us, I knew a couple of guys that would marry a woman so they wouldn't be outed, and she would get the benefits, you know, or she would get her green card or whatever the case may be, but that way they wouldn't question him, especially if he was a high ranking.
mm-hmm.
They would really cover that up.
That's another thing.
I
Y'all were
I didn't really think about
I was
that.
an officer. So.
Oh, excuse them. Fuck, I was.
No. Truthfully, no, I'm not, the reason I'm saying that is because the training was different.
Right.
Oh, you started as an officer?
I started as an officer.
You don't know. That's fine.
So a lot of, seriously, a lot of what y'all talk about, I have no idea what they're saying.
Okay. Now, at the time when you guys were in the military to now, to the present time of the Donald Trump era, how difficult is it for the military? Do you guys know?
What do you mean?
How
Actually, I haven't heard no bad stories. Actually, I went to another group that was predominantly gay military that are still active, and they didn't say anything bad. I mean, some are stationed right there.
Is it easier for them?
I think it's easier for them because they don't have to hide that they're married or that they have boyfriends.
And since you said that, the only study that's been done so far as to how many people who were gay in the military was done by the Rand Corporation a couple of years ago. And at that time, 6.1%, approximately 6.1% of the military, people in the military, identified themselves as LGBT. And like when I was going, nobody would admit it. During Don't Ask, Don't Tell?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, nobody admitted it. I mean, it was like you couldn't even. Yeah, you couldn't even admit it because you would be out. I mean, there were some guys, like I said, that guy that got caught. There were other people that I knew. People already knew that they were gay, that the individual was gay or some other individual, and they would just talk about him behind his back, but they never went up to him like, "Yo, are you gay?"
Because you don't ask.
Yeah,
Tell, like,
but you could tell that they were overly flamboyant, you know. But even right now, being gay in the military, right now we have our first transgender at a very high rank. There's a lot of transgender right now that have these ranks that you would never assume. They went from male to females, and they're like, I can't remember one of them that's actually here in San Antonio. Actually, there's a few that are in San Antonio that went from Navy to, what do you call it, Coast Guard.
Blue to green?
Sorry?
It's called blue to green.
Blue to green, I guess. I'm just saying from easy life to another easier life. But,
Don't try it. Y'all are hard,
but like we were talking about places like you said you went when you were at boot camp, and you know how we go to school. Mm-hmm. I got sent to Camp Lejeune. Same thing, yo. Where did we not go?
Camp
Lejeune. I went there, and I was late. I was almost late for PT. I mean, as soon as the cab dropped me off, and we had PT at 5. I got there at 4:45. I ran to my barracks, put on my shorts and everything, and I was still hungover with a headache. And I'm doing my PT like nothing happened, but sweating everything out. But I was happy.
Yeah?
Okay, let's go. You have a question?
No, go ahead, Mark.
No, ask a question. I will
Don't
go.
make me get up and... Well, I was going to ask, we talked about masquerading school, let it go. You probably didn't have a problem with this. But when you were in, say, basic training, if somebody saw you with a hard-on, did they question you? Like if you were in the shower with another guy and something got a hard-on, did they question you?
You know what? We didn't have time to.
I was gonna say, I don't think really and what's crazy is I remember dating somebody that they had joined the army first when we first got out of high school, and I had asked that question being just curious, 18, young, very. I was like, so what would you do if you got a hard on and I was like, I know somebody in there was fine, somebody there cute.
I think the hard were afterwards.
But see, that's what I'm saying. He was like, I don't know. He was like, I don't know. They put something in the water. He's like, I really didn't, hard on. And it's like a myth, like a joke.
Yeah, the whole myth is that they put something in your food so
or
you
your
don't
water,
get hard
you don't get
and you
hard.
won't think about sex. No, you're worried about not getting caught, so you're not even worried about it.
I think you're just so mentally exhausted. It's just a mentally exhausting experience.
But remember, they also tell us, yo, we're going to go take showers. What was it?
You get 9.
Who was it?
Next to butt.
Yeah, dick to butt or something.
Next to butt.
I forgot what it was, but we're supposed to be all back up.
Yeah. Well, they can't
God forbid.
they're not allowed to say next to butt no more. It's because of. We live in a new era. We live in a new generation, and obviously they're not allowed to be that vulgar and to say certain things in this new Navy that they call it. But you're not allowed to say nuts to butt. But I mean, obviously it's what it was called nuts to butt. But then it would say heel to toe or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Like
you know,
they just changed it from
weird.
heel to toe. Like your toes have to touch yours. But originally it was like it's called nuts to butt. Like.
I forgot where we went. We went to go do something. So we're not camping, but we were in a tent, and one of the guys, we heard him like, and we're like, and he just plainly says, "Yo, I just busted a good load." But this, and he said he did it in his sock. I'm like, something. Why were you not next to me? I would have helped you out or something. But he was like on the other side. But we all heard him doing that. We were laughing. It was funny. So I don't think like in boot camp, I don't think because you're close and fine and you don't know the people because you haven't even established a friendship with them yet. So you would not do it. But like say 6 weeks after or something like that, you're all joking around. Yo, I'm about to go to the bathroom and go jerk off. I can say that even when I was already in and at my duty station, bro, like, I gotta go. Like, what are you gonna go do? Like, what do you think? I'm gonna go take a shit, then I'm gonna jerk off. Stupid stuff like that, and they would just laugh, and I was like, I got you, I'll cover you. Stuff like that.
For me, if you were caught with a hard on, you'd be pulled into the drill sergeant's office and literally interrogated about why were you hard? What about those guys made you get hard? It wasn't necessarily the guys that got me hard. I might have been thinking about some girl you don't know, but yet they would interrogate you over it. And if they suspected you were having a gay reaction, ooh, you were wrong.
It's funny that we said about that because some of my friends, again, military Marines are just jokesters 24/7, and we'll just throw shady shit, and we'll act like we're gay half the time, and with other friends, and we'll just grab each other, caress each other, just to get a rise out of that person, especially if that person's a homophobic, and you go up there behind and yo, I don't play like that, yo, stop, yo, stop looking at my ass.
So I see a lot of that online on TikTok type stuff that guys are sending from Afghanistan and stuff, and they'll be joking with one guy, just torching the poor guy.
Yeah,
rubbing his
so we used to do
packing
that.
all over his face and stuff.
And it was like, it was not a big deal, but once they found out you were gay, yo, bro, no, I'm good, dude, like, I'm not gonna hang out with that guy anymore. You would see the separation. It was okay to be acting gay because you're all with all your friends, but once you found out that person was gay, boom, and you didn't like them, like with me, it was cool. Even when they knew I was already gay or bisexual, they were still fucking. I was like, yo, you would do me, right? I'm like, nigga, you ugly as fuck.
Did you ever run into that issue where, or either one of y'all, where you may have ran into more because you could be open, where if another person, a straight person who knew you was gay, and you hit on them, reacted violently or?
I don't think I've ever had anybody say anything.
But did you see it happen
Yeah.
to other
Have you ever
people,
seen anything like that?
other gay guys?
With you?
Josh?
I don't
Could you
feel like I didn't know anybody personally, and I don't feel like I knew, and I was part of like a gay, like I still am part of like a gay, like a military, almost like a somewhat like a fraternity, like an organization. It's like for men of like Latino and Black men that are gay or whatever, and so I just felt like I knew a lot of them that and it was so open, and it's like why even mess, like it wasn't like a thing to mess around with straight, like because we knew that it could get us in trouble too, like I guess, so it wasn't like, it's like I wouldn't, there's so many, I never saw like anybody try to like push that boundary with another straight guy, but then again, you're so open that it's like I would get that pass before I would go and pass it to somebody. That's where I feel like maybe in your generation it was more harder to figure out who was gay and who wasn't gay as well. Are you talking about like situations like that where you're like, oh, you made a pass to somebody and they like totally reject you and like it turned out really bad?
Yeah, you just have to be careful. I mean, I would assume.
You, Jace? Have you?
I mean, see, again, I can't say that I saw anything like that, again, because it was very cooperative. I mean, if you were gay and you said anything, you were mowed down, literally. I mean, it's like, wait, you're out of here, here you're dishonorable discharge, take a hike.
Okay, what does that mean? Dishonorable discharge.
You get no benefits.
No
You
benefits.
are screwed. You have nothing.
You can't even get a job.
And believe it or not, that dishonorable discharge can affect you when you're applying for
Jobs.
a job.
No, I'm
It's
serious.
federal
because
jobs.
Literally, well, not even federal jobs. Like, so, like, because if you say, "Oh, I was in the military," and then you present them with this, "Oh, dishonorable discharge," it's like, well, okay, well, what was he doing in the military? Because you couldn't even do what they told you to do, and you absolutely have the most like structure and demand, like, and now you have so much freedom. What makes you think you gonna come work for me and do what I tell you to do for 7-8 hours a day? You didn't even do what you're supposed to do, and you have the most structure and most must or going to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, being in the military, if you run away from the military, you can go to jail. Like, you can get federal. Like, so you didn't even listen while that was at stake. So why are you gonna listen while I just asked you to work 8 hours a day and you have so much freedom? That's how I feel. That's how I see it. That's how they scared us. That's how they implement it. Like, I just don't just heard, like, that's what that means. Like,
You know, I do got to bring up, because you had brought it up already. You know, there is a organization here in San Antonio which is one of the largest in the United States. It's called ABER, American Veterans Equal Rights, and it's good. I mean, you end up meeting people like 20, 30 years ago that were in the military that were lesbians that are now transgender or gays that had high ranks. I mean, what was your rank once you finally got out?
I was a captain.
You know, a captain.
And did you mention that I was going to try to have him here tonight, Danny, who was a past president of England.
Yeah.
And he's one of those people that got a less than honorable discharge when he was initially discharged from the military for being gay. And we're going to try to have him on sometime in the spring, and because a lot of people were given that less than honorable discharge prior to, well, even during Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And you are able to go back now and have that discharge and get a honorable discharge.
man, but I feel like.
But you have to apply for it.
And like, I feel like I understand it like being hard to be like quiet and like hard to not be yourself, because that's a struggle with, I feel like, with every person that's gay. It's like trying to hide not being yourself for so long, and even like while at your workplace and then like while at home, like that's just a lot. But I know like I said, just like I feel like now it's like, now that it is so open, now everybody's allowed to know you're gay. It's like they can also like pinpoint you, or like easily like, you know, not bully, but, or, you know, like I said, pinpoint. I guess it's like a nicer word for it. But that's why I feel like now, like I knew an RDC, like which is a recruit training commander, RTC. He was gay in the military, but it's like, for people like him and other people that are so high ranked, it's like they have to be like, I feel like on their P's and Q's. Like they really have to be on top of their shit, like in order to be able to be that open and be about it. Because then if not, it's, like I said, I just feel like it's almost like you're already less. It's almost like, it sounds bad to say, but it's like you're already less than everybody else. So you have to be like better than everybody else to be equal.
You know, going back to trusting people, as I said before, sometimes you have to watch people's demeanor, how things would be. You know, let's say there was somebody else that was gay in there, and again, like I said earlier, very flamboyant, you would see captains or sergeants or gunnies, you know, if I got Marines on my record, you know, I was 7 straight or something like that. So that's where you knew who you had to be more masculine around, so you won't be ridiculed like that. You know, my thing is, I need y'all to know who I am. I'm Santiago. Don't know me because I'm positive. Don't know me because I'm gay. Don't know me because of this and that and third. Know me as Santiago, and then from there we can go. I had a rule 6 months to a year to tell my straight friends that I'm gay. And once I told them, again, like I said earlier, you ain't gay. It's like, I'm gay. I'm bi. Whatever. But you were married. I'm like, yeah, I was married, and I can't like dick. I can't like ass. You know. Like, what's up?
But a lot of straight friends do that.
Yeah.
But you were married, or you had a girlfriend, or you had a child.
You have a son. I was like, and What, does he know? I'm like, yeah, he knows.
Okay, you brought up you're positive. Being in the military, you get going out to the bars, hooking up with a girl, hooking up with a guy. You guys got an STD or STI. No, I'm not saying that you guys did or what have you. If you know someone that did, what would that happen? How would your mates react to it?
Actually, and I've said this before.
I think you got it from a girl that makes funny.
Actually, yeah, because I used to get tested a lot.
Yeah, they make funny. They just think, like most people think you got it from, like I knew somebody while I was, when I had first contracted HIV, I went to a rehab facility while I was in the military. So I met a lot of Marines that were in the rehab facility with me. But they're some of my favorite people. But yeah, actually when I was going to get my numbers done and get tested, he was in there and he like admitted to me that he was like, yeah, I'm gonna clap. Like, he was like kind of embarrassed, but like I was like I told him, I was like, you know, you can get it from a girl. Like I don't think he was like, no. He's like, I'm just like kind of like embarrassed that I got it, like because he went to the rehab basically with an STI, but like he was.
Then you go to a rehab if you have an STD or STI?
No. I went for.
You went for other reasons.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But like, again, when you're in the military, you're with your boys, like, yo, that bitch gave you syphilis. They're just joking around with it.
Like,
it's not a big deal. Like almost like a badge of honor. You know, like, they're laughing at you. But if you do in the gay world, oh man.
You're disgusting.
I was like, no, dude, yeah, gonorrhea. I was like, ooh, who was this? I don't fucking worry. You know, it's two different worlds.
Oh, I feel like it was.
And real seriously, the rest of the straight people, or if they thought you were straight and you came in with an STD or STI, man, it was give him a medal. He's been out there.
Yo, he be fucking bitches left and right. You know, stuff like that.
Now, during my time, if you showed up with HIV, because when I was initially in there, it was toward the beginning of the HIV/AIDS epidemic. Not again, that was a death sentence in more ways than one.
Oh.
Not only did it destroy and to be honest with you, the military at that time didn't care if you got it from a woman or from a man. As far as they were concerned, if you had HIV, you were dead. Even if you got it from a woman.
I fortunately never got no STDs while I was in the military. That's what's funny. While I traveled, going here, there, Thailand. Thailand, the worst place to get an STD. Never got nothing there. And trust me, I did my shit over there. Okinawa and just here in the United States. While I was in the military. But once I moved to San Antonio, boom, STDs all the time.
Girl, don't do that.
Back to back.
Don't do that.
Yo, San Antonio's the worst. But now that I made my little funny, not to get a serious note, you know, there are a couple people. There's one gentleman that belongs to one of our groups, or actually belongs to two of our groups. I'm not going to say his name. I'll let him tell his story next time. He contracted HIV while in the military. The good thing for him was that he worked underneath the commandant or something like that. I can't remember exactly. And I'll tell you about it. And I think he met him. We'll talk about it later. Anyway, so I don't say he got special treatment, but he was taken care of. That nothing would happen to him. He still got out honorably and whatnot. So for him, it was sad that because he's been over 25 years positive, but he was still able to get the care that he needed, being positive and being gay. You know, there's other individuals. I mean, I don't know if he wants to talk about his experience.
And I guess that's more what I was talking about as far as having to be superior to be able to be taken care of. I feel like when I contracted HIV, I was in the military, I was in the Navy, and I feel like when I contracted HIV, because I was so low rank, I didn't. When you get into the Navy, before you even go to boot camp, you're supposed to select a job. When I selected my job, I selected basically a broad overview of a job, and basically the way they said is like, oh, you're gonna go in undesignated, you don't have a designation, you're gonna be able to pick whatever job you want after boot camp, and it was kind of like played to me like that. And I was not aware that it was like a blanket over us, only like so there's 50 jobs in the Navy, and there's 5 blankets, and each of them have 10 jobs in each blanket. I didn't know it was a specific blanket on these 10 specific jobs, which were engineering jobs, which I didn't want to do at the time. I thought I wanted to be in the medical yeoman. I mean, like a medical, like a HM or corpsman or something like that. But my thing is, I felt because like I was so low ranked, didn't even have a job, I didn't have a designation, I was new to the ship, I had only been on the ship for a year and only been in the Navy for a year. It was just like, oh, you're in the way. You're
just another number.
Yeah, you're just another number. Like, and you don't have a rank, you don't have, like, you're not useful to us. So like, you just ruined your chance to get out of the way type of thing. And I was just like pushed to a shore command, where I did administrative work for 3.5 years, and I was in charge of the office, and all that shit is great, but then I ended up getting out of the Navy as a damage controlman, which has nothing to do with what I did for those past 3 years. The first year I worked as an electrician, and after I contracted HIV, it's just like, go to this shore command, and shore command do whatever they tell you to do, and then by the end of it, I don't even have a job, so like, we're gonna like phase you out, basically, like, because you don't have a job, like, so you can't advance, you can't re-enlist with no job, like. And so that's what I kind of feel like, if you're not important to them, if you're not, that's why I feel like if you're gay, like, yeah, you're allowed to be open, you're allowed to be openly gay, but if you're not superior, if you're not making sure you're on your shit, like, and not just on your shit, like on top of your shit, but above and beyond, like, superior, like, you have to be like, almost, like I said, better than the best, just to be equal.
Right, you really have to prove yourself. You know, and again, you yourself knowing that you're gay and you don't want to get found out, like you said, you have to make sure that you're better than the next person. Because once they bring it out, like, oh, you a faggot, you this, that, you're like, yeah,
it's just like
but
this
this faggot just beat you in a race. This
Or
faggot is better than you doing this, that, and the third.
Right, where
So
if you're not doing
it,
it, it's like, oh, your prissy ass is in the way, like doing this manly work. Basically, like when you dumb it down, it's just like, oh, your prissy ass is in the way, and we're trying to do this manly work. Like, move your soft ass out the way. Basically, when you dumb it down.
Yeah, they try to downgrade you.
And
Again, that never happened to me, but I would see that done to others.
And it's just like, that's why I feel like if you're, no matter what job you're doing in the Navy, like as far, or in the military period, if you're openly gay, like, you have to be better than the best. And that's just how I feel. And that's like why I feel like there's these groups where like, you know, we strive to like, we push that to be better. We push that just because we know like that stigma and what could happen and how easily like you could become a, what's it called, like a liability, basically. Like you're a liability, you're just like in the way, like.
You know, I do.
One of the reasons for the don't ask, don't tell policy was they were afraid that it would cause morale issues and that they would become liabilities. So you think, because for me, it would have been a liability around 25% just because nobody wanted to be around a gay person. And don't ask, don't tell, do you feel like it was a liability or?
I think it would have been liability because, again, I chose a branch that I wanted the title, Marines. I mean, if I was going to join anything, it was the Marines. Because if I'm going to go through the military, I want something that's similar. But once they find out, oh, you're Marine, oh, you a faggot, blah, 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 you know. And I see that word a lot, in, the past 5 minutes, because that's what they use. Oh, you a fudge packer. This is the real world. This is the reality. This is what they said. You know, I'm not trying to be graphic or anything, but back in the military, if they didn't like you, you could call every freaking name in the book. But the worst word that you could hear is somebody call you faggot. Even if you weren't even gay and you were straight and somebody called you faggot, those are fighting words already.
Going to the wrong to their
so there's gonna be a brawl right there. You know.
But that's the thing too in the military, like people could do that, they would fight and nobody's saying anything about it. Like if you call me a faggot, we're gonna go into this room next door and we're gonna duke it out and it's the same thing.
And even your friends would be like right there,
Did
like,
you have an issue though with morale and people considering you a liability because you were gay?
Not until, and that's the thing too, like when I always was so scared to be a part of that stigma, I guess, or like be like, oh, the prissy gay boy in the way. And so I feel like when I got to my ship, I did work really hard to like, I wasn't I wasn't designated, but they put me with the division, which is basically like the electricians. And I worked hard. I got my qualifications. You know, I did what I had to do. And then when I found out I had HIV, and then I got put to the ship, like put to my shore duty, and I got to work in the office. I excelled. I did everything I needed to do. I was on top of my shit. So it wasn't an issue until I had my spiral, and I went to rehab, and everybody basically in the command found out, like, oh, he's a drug addict that has HIV. Like, he ain't shit. Like, so, and it was really, really bad, and that's kind of how I got, like, phased out, because I had to go to a court martial. I had to do all these things. But then after that, I was totally looked at different. I was totally looked at as a liability. I was totally looked at as, like, less than. And
Now, were you looked at that way because you had contracted HIV?
I think it was a part
Or
of.
was it both being gay and HIV?
I don't think it was so much being gay. It was more of like HIV, and then on top of that, like, I had done drugs, and so they just looked at me as like somebody that didn't care. But like, I guess I feel like it wasn't that I didn't care. It was just I was mentally going through a lot, and was at a point of fuck it, like, but I didn't. I wanted to die.
You know, they see, and again, I'm going with high ranks, is they saw it like, yo, we just invested so much money on this guy, all this time, all this education, and now we gotta kick him out. That's, and again, I'm just saying that personally, because let's say I invest time in somebody, and something happens, like, fuck, you know, he's another shepherd, you know? Because that's what they would call those people that were worthless. I'm not saying you. I'm
No,
just
no,
saying
they call them
just
shitbags.
they would call them shitbirds.
Mine were shitbags. Yeah,
Oh,
you're a
shitbag,
shitbag.
yeah.
You're a
Because
shitbag.
if you weren't a necessity, you were just a nobody. You were just another peon. They would just walk all over you, treat you like shit. Yo, go give me this, go give me that.
Yeah, bro.
So
like,
you're just running
go,
doing that.
Go clean the trash.
And you're not trying to get in trouble again, because again, you're not trying to even go to the brick.
And you're like, just send them to the trash can because they ain't gonna clean that. So just,
You know.
sitting there with the trash.
Again, this is three different generations, three even different branches of the military. What we're talking right now, we all have.
Each rank is going to be different.
Each rank is going to be different.
I know in the Marines, they may look at you a little bit harder if you came out as gay, or if they knew you were gay.
Right.
But I hate to do the stereotype, because everybody says that people that are in the Navy are gay, but maybe less so in the Navy.
But I feel like I met more gay people, not because you know I work hard for the Navy. But no, I really feel like I have met more gays out in different branches than I have in the Army, to say, to be exact.
Ooh, Fort Sam, I can tell you stories.
Okay, we got
I
a
ain't
few.
been on base, but I've been on base.
We got a few minutes left.
Okay.
I want all three of you to take a minute and tell, in about a minute, tell people who wants to go in the military that are watching, what do you recommend? What do you tell them? What advice do you give them? Starting with you, Santiago. You love talking.
I do love talking. You know what? Choose the job that you want. If it's not written that that's the job you want, don't take it, because once you get there to say, oh, I'm gonna be this, that, and third, you're gonna end up being a cook, and you're gonna hate it. I was never a cook, but I do love to cook.
Hey, I
But, you know, they'll just give you the shittiest job that anybody do. Or you'll be an infantryman. I mean, that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. That's good. But, you know yourself and be prepared. Be prepared to be shitted on. Be prepared to do whatever. But at the end of the day, that's going to make you grow up faster. That's going to help you in the long run to be a better person in society. What you choose to do between the time you step out and by the time you get in, that's all on you. You know, I tried my hardest not to get in trouble. Because after that, I wanted to get to become FBI. So it just didn't work out. I mean, I got out honorably, so I'm good. But, you know, there's other people that weren't as fortunate. You know, be careful, don't get caught. know what you want to do and make sure this is what you want. I joined the military because I want to get out of this area. I want to travel. A lot of people in this area will stay here because they're content with what they have. If you want to travel, you want to get a free education, yo, this is the best job. To join a branch, it doesn't matter.
Chase?
For me, and since you didn't admit, join a branch. I see it this way. If you want to join the military, do your research. Find out which branch is going to offer you the job that's going to advance your life. If it's something in the Marines, go for the Marines. If it's something in the Air Force, go for the Air Force. The Army, the Army. The Navy, the Navy. Actually, the Navy does have a lot of good engineering programs. You mentioned engineering earlier.
Yeah. If you like engineering, the Navy is.
So, do your research. I'm not an anti-military person. I'm very up on people being in the military.
Oh, I love
It's a good way to get an education. If you want to go to college and can't afford it, I guarantee you the military is your ticket to get there.
Even afterwards,
Yeah.
they'll still help you out because there's a program called, oh my God, I just called it,
VRE,
is it VRE?
Veterans Readiness Education Program.
Yeah, and they'll still help you out once you get out, and that's still good for another 10, 15 years after.
And you?
I would
Josh?
agree with both of them as far as I feel like I love the Navy. I don't regret that decision at all. I actually had planned on re-enlisting before I had to go to the rehab. And I feel like it did help me grow up a lot. It really humbled me. And it really made me a better young man, a better human person. Like I just feel like it made me, like I said, it made me grow up. I had to do things by myself. I had to, and then I just feel like it's like I said, it's great. I think it's also great for anybody that doesn't exactly know what they want to do. I know Jay said research what you want to do if you like engineering, because there's certain jobs that may, like if you want to do aviation, a lot of people don't know that the Navy owns more airplanes than the Air Force does.
The Air Force, yeah.
Yeah, so there's different things like that. If you love aviation, don't be like, oh, I'm gonna go there for it. Just do a little bit of your research, but I think also as well, if you don't know exactly what you want to do, the military is a good place for you to figure that out because they're gonna pay you, they're gonna clothe you, they're gonna feed you, they're gonna house you, they're gonna make sure you're taken care of. All you have to do is what they tell you to do, which is go to work.
And make sure you save your money. I mean, there's a lot of them that as soon as they got in, the first thing they did, go buy a car. They put themselves in debt, not knowing that they're about to get deployed. So that whole year that you're deployed, but you just bought that car that's sitting in the garage. I mean, yeah, it's there when you got back, but
and that's
still.
and that's the thing too. I think now they have a lot of implementations with the sexual harassment. We have to go to so many. They call them GMTs. It's general military training. It's you have to complete so many GMTs, X amount of within this month, and there's somebody that's on the ship that's in charge of that. They're the so-and-so coordinator or the so-and-so coordinator, the morale coordinator, NWR was NWR, but and so they have to coordinate and make sure that everybody goes through this training, and it may be a sexual harassment training, it may be any type of training like that. They have to do that, and I know they implement a lot of training now. Even when I wanted to buy a car, we weren't quote unquote allowed to buy a car without talking to a senior person and be like, hey, can you help me go get a car? It's technically you're not supposed to buy a car without permission.
And it's because they don't want you going in debt.
Yeah,
that's a lot of them go in debt.
Or then too, a big military city. There's a lot of. Everybody knows there are crooks everywhere. There's a lot of people. They know you're military, so they know you're gonna get this check. They know they're gonna manipulate and get and so that's what they don't want people pulling the wool over your eyes. They see that you're a young person. You can get qualified for coming out of boot camp and going there's Navy Federal Credit Union, which is a credit union that is just for military. They know that you just signed up for the military. They know, oh, this boy's gonna get a check for the next 4 years, and it might grow if he does good, and it might continue to grow if he. So they're oh yeah, we can give him a car. We're gonna give it to him at this high ass 20-30% APR rate. They're gonna pull the wool over your eyes, and that's the point of them not wanting you to get a car without asking, or not wanting just bought a women and you have to pay for it for the next.
You know, at the end of the day, I don't regret joining the Marines. I regret going to my last duty station somewhat, but I don't regret joining the Marines. You know, it gave me that honor because once they say, "Oh, you're a Marine," you know, they'll give you that respect automatically. And once they know that you were never a reserve, because I really, well, reserve is another subject, but once they know you have a rank, or once they know that you have a rank, you get that respect. I mean, I show my ID, and hey, thank you for your service, and you feel honored. Even though you've been out for a while, you get that honor. So again, I love the Marines. I will always say I'm a Marine. Even my license plate pretty much says it.
Well, guys, well, I want to thank y'all for joining us. I want y'all to be here next week. We are actually going to have a live group of people here. So if you want to attend that event, please get with Mark. Message us on our Facebook page. We're only going to have a total of 20 people here, which means there are actually 15 vacant slots. So please get a hold of us and confirm that you want to be here. And we are going to have probably sandwiches, something really light to eat. And also, you know that we are going to be doing Facebook Live. So you need to keep that in mind because you may wind up being on camera.
Yeah, so if you don't want to be on camera, you know, understand.
Yeah, I understand that there will be a camera here, and we will be probably capturing some of y'all, and we will definitely want y'all to. We're not real sure what the service is going to be next week, but
Live streaming.
we're going to want the people coming to be involved.
If you are sick, please don't come.
Yes, we will check your temperature when you're here. You will have to wear a mask except for when you're eating, and we will strictly enforce the 6 foot social distancing.
As well as a limited amount of people, which is why they want you to, like now, let them know so that they can accompany everybody that's going to come. Because there's only a limited amount of seating due to the fact that everybody's in a pandemic.
Yes.
So, but we do miss y'all. We do want y'all back. Any comments, concerns? And again, if you're military and you just didn't want to see nothing, and you want to post it on here, hey, go ahead and post it. Share this link as well. We're going to post some of the stuff on YouTube and also Instagram. Follow us on any of these platforms.
Yeah.
But please share the link. If you have friends or family that are gay and also in the military, send this to them. They might want to say something too. So again, we love you, we miss y'all, and hopefully we'll see you next Tuesday. Anything else?
Remember to vote. Yesterday was your last day to register, so if you didn't get registered, I'm sorry. But if you are registered, vote. Early voting starts on October 13th, runs through the 30th. Election day is November 3rd, which is a Tuesday. We actually will not be having a Living Positive session that day because it is election day, and we feel like most people will probably be wanting to be home and see Joe Biden win the election. And I was going to say something else, and I forgot what it was. Mark, do you have?
Josh, you have anything to say?
No, thank y'all for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
I hope to be here next week so I can do y'all's live. So thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me on this platform, and
Yeah.
it's a good time.
Okay, I want to thank Santiago, Jace, and Josh for tonight. And on the back scene, I want to thank Caesar, John, and Wayne. Oh, I almost forgot Wayne's name. So I want to thank everybody. Yes, I love you.
Don't forget Mr. Wiggles.
And Mr. Wiggles.
All right, mascot.
Yes. So on that note, remember, you need to get a hold of me if you want to be here next Tuesday. If you don't, I will not let you in. Simple as that, because I'm only allowed limited people in.
It's 13, right? October 13th.
It's 15 people actually allowed to come in, plus us 5.
But October
6.
13th.
Yes,
October 13th.
October 13th. So on that note, I want to say thank you.
I do have one more thing.
Yes.
This is what I was forgetting. Get your flu shot. I believe you can get it at Target and get a $5 gift card.
Anybody who's connected to the VA, they're offering flu shots.
Flu shots. You can also get it at Walgreens, obviously, CVS, HEB,
anyone that's with UHS at Fax Clinic, and also your shingle shot. They just got your shingles in this week.
Yes.
Oh, who? That's
Fax.
okay. I can remember that.
So make sure you get those shots and help protect yourself. And when you are out and about, social distancing and wear your mask. And that's it.
Well, good night, guys. Love you guys.
Nice.